Hi and welcome to WaterGrass. Let's have a look at the data structure. This video is not about all the different features that WaterGrass has. It has too many to account and too many to easily comprehend. Here's a list of all the different kinds of tables and tabs that Salesforce makes available in this very powerful version of its database. Our challenge has been to take these and work them down to a manageable set for most river and watershed groups. And that's what we've done here, and you can see the basic structure of WaterGrass in the tabs at the top. We start out looking at the Home tab, which has got our calendar and our tasks on it, and that synchronizes with our Outlook if we use Outlook. And then the basic structure of WaterGrass. There are people, contacts, and they are members of accounts, a family, a business, a nonprofit organization, a tribe. They make contributions to our organization so it can carry out its mission. Those contributions might be money, and they might also be volunteer hours. They might be in kind, or they might buy a ticket to an event. And those contributions typically fall under one of our campaign activities. Like, for instance, if we had an event, then all the tickets that people bought would be contributions against that campaign activity. And those campaign activities usually organize themselves into master campaigns. For instance, we might have all the appeals for a year, and those appeals would all fit together, and we could run a report on all the appeals for a year. So let's dig into it then. What's an account look like? What information have we got there? There are a number of different kinds of accounts that we can have. Families, foundations, government, nonprofit, watershed groups. Some watershed groups ask us to add the tribe type as well. And let's take a look at one in particular. Let's look at Harris Properties. This is an active account with us. It's a business. We send it a newsletter. We send the newsletter by email. We could also send it by print. Okay. In case this newsletter these people haven't ever responded to us by May of 2011, we're going to cut off the newsletter. We could leave that blank and send it to them forever if we wanted. The account's active, meaning that we've got good contact information for them. If we had obsolete contact information, we could mark that, and then we could filter them out of whatever mailings we were doing. Account membership, when it expires. This account is a major donor account, which means that we treat it somewhat differently from our normal accounts. The maximum gift it gave us in the last 2 years was $750, which is pretty high, so we're not sending them renewals and signing them up for membership. Address information, you'll see under here we've got region. Some watershed groups ask for watershed or sub-watershed, whether or not people live on the river or upland from the river. We can add all that. And then down here we can see if the people in this account ask for anything in particular, like not getting phone calls, not getting phone solicitations, not having us share their name with other lists. So that's all our contact information about the account. And we can see that we have one person in this account, Frank Harris, the owner. And we can see that he's made contributions to us. Some of them monetary and some of them volunteer. Let's take a look at the contact then. So we've moved from the Accounts tab to the Contacts tab. Frank Harris, he's linked to his account, title, his email, various other emails he might have, phones. He's a major donor. His most recent donations. Mailing information about him. Once again, his particular preferences for mailings so that we can filter him out if we need to. And then we can take a look down here and we can say, oh, let's look at his contributions. And we can also see that Frank's affiliated with another organization. He's the board chair on that organization. We can see his start and end date, and over time we'll build a history here of the various different ways that Frank's been involved in the community. Let's take a look at his work here in the stream cleanup. WaterGrass was originally created in order to better track volunteer activities. So this is something that we think it does pretty well. Here's the title of his contribution. You can see he volunteered. We've tracked whether or not he was a volunteer or a leader because it's important for groups to develop leaders. His supervisor, what campaign that was a part of, the date that it happened, the stage it's completed, how many hours we estimated it would take, and then after the fact we can go back in and put how many hours it actually took. Actually took 5 hours. And his supervisor was pretty satisfied with him. We asked Frank if he'd do it again and how good he thought the supervisor's support was. In the future, we're going to automate the feedback loop for this via an email that goes to a web page that goes back into the database so that it's really easy to keep track of how good the volunteer experience we're offering people is. Let's take a look at another one of Frank's contributions. Let's look at one of the monetary contributions, and you'll see that we track different things for the monetary contributions. So if we look down here and we see there's that $750 sponsorship. In this particular case, we're tracking, it's got a title, it's got a type, it's tracked to the account and to the contact. We can match it to a challenge donation if we want to, give it a description, if it has any reporting requirements, and if there's a next step by which we need to follow up. And if we put in a date for the next step, then we'll get a reminder email later on saying, hey, the next step's coming up. If it's been designated to a particular fund, who played what role? In this case, it seems to have been Frank alone, but if, for instance, some other employee in his business had suggested to him that he make this contribution, then that person could be tracked here as an influencer. So we say, well, now that's all great. Let's look and see how this particular campaign went. So here's a campaign activity. That was the Cahaba Ramble. And there's not a lot of information, not a lot here. So let's take a look at another one. The Spring for the River. So in this particular case, under Spring for a River, it's an activity, a fundraising activity. We sent out 100 appeals for it. We were hoping that 10% of the people would respond back and that we get an average contribution of $100. So we'd net $1,000, or we'd gross $1,000. And in fact, we got 14 back for a total of $1,000. And if we look down here, we'll see a list of all those different contributions that we got from people. And we can organize these campaigns into master campaigns. One of the master campaigns that we've got is our major donor campaign, which is made up of 4 campaign activities, which we can plan in advance. We've planned a major donor breakfast, a float, cocktails before the concert, then we'll do solicitations, and finally thank yous. And we can track how each one of these things is going as a campaign activity. This is one of the most important things that we can do with it. We can say, look, we've attached these particular contacts to the campaign. So we sent Alana an invitation. She hasn't gotten back to us. We haven't yet sent an invitation to John Sample, and we did send an invitation to Frank Harris, so we made a call, and he's responded yes, so that we know that we've got at least one person coming to our major donor breakfast. And that's the way that we can track how well we're doing on these individual campaigns. That's the basic structure of WaterGrass. People are members of accounts. They give contributions as parts of campaign activities, which organize themselves into master campaigns. I hope you'll take a look at the next video and see what campaigns can do for you. Thanks.